If you've spent serious money and still aren't sure that it was worth it, this is for you. This is why costly mistakes don't look like mistakes. The most expensive problems, they're quiet. Nothing appears broken, and that is why they're expensive. Let's be real. If it were obvious, you'd have fixed it already. Mistake number one, and I see it all the time, is paying without knowing what worked. I talked with someone that was spending $10,000 per month on their marketing. You'd expect at that price, they're getting a great service. They've been doing this for 8 months, and they came to me asking, what's going on here? How can this be improved? Have I made the right decision? I asked them one simple question. You've got $80,000 invested here. Can you point to at least $100,000 in revenue that came into your business as a result of this marketing campaign? They had no idea if any of their revenue resulted from that campaign, and the year-over-year data suggested that their revenue had not changed very much. The bottom line for this is that measurement does not need to be perfect. We're working with kind of fuzzy numbers here. The main thing that we're looking for is, are we directionally accurate? And in this case, the direction was that their expenses went up by a lot and their revenue remained flat. My recommendation was that they should consider getting out of this campaign. The second mistake that I see very frequently is a website that does not convert. Here's another client that I spoke with. In this case, they were sold ads from another agency. This agency took their first month payment, and when they questioned why they didn't have any new sales from all these ads that were run, the agency told them, oh, your website isn't optimized. You need a website that's optimized for conversions. As though the client should have known this. I took a look at the client's website, and I had to agree. It was one of the worst websites that I've seen. It was terrible on mobile devices. It barely worked on a desktop computer, and there were no calls to action throughout the whole site. It was almost impossible to book an appointment or spend any money with their business going through their website. However, the agency that sold them the ads should have known this. They should have pointed this out from the very beginning. Instead, they waited until they collected that first invoice from the client, and then they tried to upsell them into a new website. My recommendation was, yes, they did need a new website, and they should probably take all the money that they planned on spending for ads and instead invest it in a website that was optimized for conversions. But also, they should fire that agency immediately and never work with them again. It is inexcusable for them to have not told the client about this up front before spending any money on ads. That is not an agency that you want to work with. The third mistake that I see again and again, and most clients don't even realize they're making this mistake, is losing their data every time that they change service providers. So many clients don't realize the value of their Google Analytics and even their ad data. This can be used to be able to identify trends, to spot month over month and year over year changes within your business. And all of that data is often deleted when a client moves from one agency to the next because they don't own it. This is why with OptSus, we make sure that every client owns their data and shares it with us so we can manage it on their behalf. But if they ever choose to go to any other service provider, they have their data, they own it, they can take it with them wherever they need to go. The fourth mistake that I see, less frequent than the first three, but still far too often, is not owning what it is that you're actually paying for with your marketing services. Let me tell you about someone I spoke with at a conference some years ago. They learned this lesson the hard way. They had hired an agency and worked with them for several years to build their website and grow their business online. They decided it was time to take their business to a different provider. When they sent that email notifying this agency that they would be ending their services, that's when they learned about the fine print in the contract, which they had overlooked up until now. It turned out the agency owned the domain and the website and all of the content on that site. The client was simply paying a monthly rental. When that contract was terminated, the agency went in, found and replaced the name of their business with their competitor, and by the end of the week, the website was now sending leads and traffic to their competition. This was entirely legal and written out in the contract. Make sure you read the contract and understand what it is that your marketing agency is offering and what the results are if you were to cancel your services with that company. Here's the pattern behind all of this. These are not technical errors. These are foundational gaps, and here's how you can resolve. Foundation should have clarity, measurement, ownership, and exit control. You need to know what it is that's being done to grow your business, how you're going to measure the results of that campaign, how you're going to be able to retain the data from one campaign to the next, and what's going to happen whenever you eventually end these services. At OptSus, we only take a few new clients each year. This is one of the reasons why we have an email that we send out every week to help many more businesses grow online. You can subscribe to that email, grow with OptSus, and learn about the services that we provide by visiting optsus.com. That's OptSus.com.